Hi, nice to see you again. I thought today we could sit down a little bit and chat about gift knitting because I made a list this week of all of the accessories I want to make for this fall and winter season, and there is 3 gift knits on here already, and I'm probably gonna add 2 more, so if I don't want to be really stressed around the holidays, I should get started. And naturally, I went to Ravelry and tried to find some patterns that are suitable for gift knitting, and I stumbled across problems pretty quickly because it is kind of hard to choose patterns for gift knitting because it needs to be something that you want to knit even though you're gifting it away. And of course there's joy in gifting it away, but it's a different kind of joy than you have from keeping an item to yourself that you made. And then also it needs to be something that the person you're gifting it to would enjoy enough to actually use it. So I feel that's kind of difficult, especially if you're making gifts as a surprise. A few videos ago I talked about knitting mistakes and I made a distinction between gift knits that you make as a surprise and gift knits that you make while telling the other person you're gifting them something knitted. And I feel like for bigger items, such as sweaters for example, it might make more sense to tell the person you are making them a sweater so you can communicate with them about their preferred size or fiber or color, because if you pour in a lot of effort and then they end up not liking it, that's really sad for both of you. And for surprise gift knits, I think they're really fun and cute, but I like to keep them smaller and simpler to avoid that exact problem that you pour in a lot of effort and then the item doesn't get used. So for this video, I found 40 patterns that I think would be very suitable for surprise gift knitting. So small items like accessories or home decor that I think most people would enjoy receiving, but you also will have a good time knitting it up. So in here I have mittens, I have fingerless gloves, I have hats and headbands, I have scarves, I have socks, and I have some home decor. And let's go through all of them and see what would be good options for you. These are the Better Together mittens by 𝗙𝗚𝗡𝗙𝗏, and what I really like about those is that they look very simple. I think anybody could wear them really, but still they're very interesting at the same time with the way that the ribbing ends diagonally. So I think these would be great to gift to anybody, and also they are made with a merino held with a mohair or a sock yarn held with a mohair. I believe there's different options. So that is yarn that most likely you already have at home, maybe leftovers from a sweater you once made. Maybe you can even go in and add stripes or some kind of a design of your own if you would like that. I think these are infinitely customizable, and I believe that's a very cute pattern that you can also make for multiple people. They are fingering weight, so they're not the quickest project ever, but also since they're so basic and there's really only ribbing and stockinette, I think you can still get them done relatively quickly. They do only come in 2 adult sizes, but I believe you can very easily alter this pattern to also gift it to a child if you're maybe wanting to make mittens for a whole family, which I think is also a cute idea. So this would be my most basic suggestions if you want to make somebody mittens and you don't want to do anything out there and want to be very certain they will wear them. I think these would be great. These mittens are similar, just a little bit more colorful. They're called 𝗙𝗚𝗡𝗙𝗏 by 𝗙𝗚𝗙𝗀𝗡, and I really like that they come in so many sizes, so you can make them for children as well. And I think this would be great to use up some scraps if you have them laying around, but also if you make them for multiple people, I think it might be cute to use inverted colors. So maybe change the stripe order or reuse one of the stripe colors for the other mittens so they are all matching. And I think this is also a very, very cute option. These are the Home for Christmas mittens by Rita Nygaard Anderson. And what I really like about those is that you have this little Christmas design on it that's very cute. But then most of the mitten is still blank, so you can wear it with a very basic outfit. And I think these are so cute. They should also knit up fairly quickly because the yarn suggested here is an Aran weight wool, and I am very surprised that they don't have very many projects on Ravelry. I want people to make this. I kind of want to make this. These are so adorable. And they also come in 3 sizes, so 1 for children and then 2 for adults. These are the Speedy Selbo mittens by Skindeer Knits, and I really love those because they are knitted with an Aran weight wool. There are various options suggested to you, but they still keep this very classic mitten colorwork design. And that means that you can get them done very quickly while making them look really complicated. And I think for somebody who would maybe like a colorful pair of mittens or a very classic looking pair of mittens, these would be absolutely amazing. Because even though you have to do color work and you'll probably take a little bit longer for that generally than for knitting a plain mitten, because it is an Aran weight, you will still be done really, really fast. These are the Color Your Stars mittens by Christine Enström. And they are also a colorwork mitten, but a little bit of a less classic design. So if you have somebody maybe a little bit younger who would like a modern twist on colorwork mittens, I think this would be a good pattern. I also saw some people in the project photos making some lower contrast versions, which I thought looked really fun and interesting, and are maybe a bit easier to style for the recipient. It is a sport weight pattern, so it probably won't take you very long, and I think these absolutely have the potential to be somebody's favorite new mittens. The Chantal mittens by Mocha are cool because they give you two different options, so you can either make it a mitten or you can make it a fingerless glove, which isn't an incredibly difficult adjustment to make to any of the previous patterns either, but if you're wanting somebody to kind of take your hand with it a little bit, I think this would be a great pattern. They are knitted on DK weight yarn in a slip stitch pattern, so I'm not quite sure how long it would take you to make that slip stitch pattern. I haven't knitted anything from the Chantal series, even though I do see it around quite a bit and I really like the classic design of it. Regardless, they are fingerless gloves or mittens. I think you can get them done fairly quickly, no matter what the pattern really is. I also like that this is fairly size inclusive, so there is 4 sizes, and I think if you maybe have people in your life that have a bit bigger hands, these would be a great pattern to go to. Fully moving on into the fingerless glove section, these are the 𝗙𝗚𝗙𝗘𝗏 by Katharina Lindhagen, and I think fingerless gloves are such great gifts because they are so quick to make and very versatile for the person who is receiving them. Especially because I know quite some people who don't enjoy mittens because you kind of get your movement restricted a bit. But for fingerless gloves, I like to wear them inside even when it's cold, so I can still type and knit and move around, basically anything except wash my hands, which I fall for that every time. I always think, oh, it's fine, I can wash my hands with these on, and then I do and I get them wet and it's really uncomfortable for the next hour or so. Anyways, the 𝗙𝗚𝗙𝗘𝗏, they are obviously for a DK weight yarn. There are a bunch of options suggested, like wools and merinos and sock yarns and whatever. And I think these have a really classic look that is still a little bit interesting because of the ribbing. You can make them shorter and wear them like this, like I'm wearing mine, or you can wear them longer and fold them. And I think this is a really great pattern to gift to somebody. These fingerless mittens are called Cloudburst by Ariane Gray, and they feature this lace design on top, which I really enjoy. I think that's very cute. It's also a free pattern, which is amazing, and they are knitted with a fingering weight wool, which I think most people also have laying around somewhere, or you could definitely also use sock yarn or something of that sort. There's also a lot of projects to scroll through if you're interested in those. I saw some people make them in stripes, which is a bit out there in combination with the lace, but I thought it looked really fun as well. And there's a variety of colors and lengths and stuff like that, so you can definitely browse through there to get some inspiration. These are the Peppermint Patties by Monica Leigh Ars, and I think these are so cute. I love how they invoke the idea of Christmas without being outwardly Christmassy. So if you have a white and a red or a white and a green laying around somewhere, I think these would be great. It is even advertised as a stash busting project. It is for worsted weight yarn and the pattern is free as well. Moving on to hats, I have one very basic one and then I have 2 Christmas hats and 2 colorwork hats that aren't really Christmassy at all, so you can just wear them whenever you feel like wearing a hat. So for the basic one, I picked the Hill 60 by Gold House of Yarn for 2 main reasons. The first one is I like when the hat ends where the head ends, so I don't really like these longer ones, and this one I would say has the perfect shape. And then secondly, I really like the way they included the ribbing, so it's not just a very plain hat, but it's also not this classic 2x2 or 1x1 ribbed hat, and still you have the ribbing, so when you're gifting it to somebody whose head circumference you maybe don't really know, it'll probably fit them pretty well. This is written for worsted weight yarn, and obviously if you're wanting to make it more interesting, you can add all kinds of extras to this. I saw some people added stripes, some people used a variegated yarn, which I also really liked, so I think this is a great base to go off of. For my Christmas hats, the first one is the Bohem Christmas hat by Randi Herm-Debs. And I really like that it has this little bit of colorwork design where the white meets the red. So it doesn't look like the most basic classic Christmas hat ever. And I feel like you could still wear this out of the house. I think you could also make this in another color, maybe like a dark green or a purple or something like that. And you would have a hat that is kind of Christmas, but still very wearable outside of Christmas. It does come in mainly child sizes, but there's one adult size, so I don't know if it would fit somebody with a large head, but I think you could also probably very easily adjust this. And I think this is a very cute pattern if you have some sport weight yarn laying around. And my second Christmas hat is called Rooftop Landing by Amy Alexander. And I think this is inspired by some kind of show, I don't know, but I still think even without the show, it's a really cute hat. It has the star design on the top, it has little reindeers all around it, and it has this like very classic Christmassy design around the brim. And I think like if you imagine a Christmas hat in your mind, then this would probably come very close to what it looks like. It is designed for sport weight yarn, and I think with this much color work going on, it might take you a few days to knit it up. But I think if you're wanting to gift somebody like a very classic Christmas hat, this would be a good option still. And then for my two colorwork hats, the first one is called Cold Hearts Hat by 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗏. And I think this is a really cute design, especially the one with the longer tail at the top. I think that just looks adorable. I think this would also be great if you're not that experienced with colorwork yet, because it seems like the floats are all pretty short and it's a relatively small project. It is designed for a DK weight yarn, so it should also go over fairly quickly, even though it is color work. And again, I think this would be really cute if you're making it for multiple people in inverted colors. So maybe if you're gifting it to a couple, you can gift one person a blue and white one and the other one a white and blue one. I think that would look adorable together. This hat is called 𝗙𝗛𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗦 by 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗏𝗡 and I think this is a great gift for the end of year season, because as we're moving into spring, I think it's kind of cute to have a floral hat that you can put on when it's cold, obviously, but not really Christmassy anymore. I think this might take a little bit longer to knit up because it is made with a sport weight yarn and has the colorwork design and this very long brim. But I think the design is very cute and it would be pretty fun to knit it up. I have two headbands in here because I think they're a really cute gift, but they don't take as much time as a beanie. So if you're really in a time crunch, I think these would be great. The first one is called 𝗙𝗛𝗏𝗏 by 𝗙𝗛𝗏𝗏𝗏. And what I really like about this is that the ribbing is hidden on the inside. So it'll still be stretchy and it will still fit most people's heads, but the outside design is stockinette, so it looks very clean. And I think there are multiple options for what design to put on there. And it's also a free pattern, which is great. It is a light fingering yarn, but I think for a headband, and it also looks like a fairly thin headband, that won't really matter. You will still get through it pretty quickly. And it says that it would take an experienced knitter 8 to 10 hours to make this, which is cool that he included that, because that makes it easier for you to estimate if you have enough time to finish it before you have to gift it to someone. And if you don't have enough time for the light fingering headband, I would recommend the Reindeer Romp Ear Warmer by Rosie Posey Knit Co., which includes this cute little reindeer motif all around, because this is knitted on a worsted weight yarn and should therefore go a lot quicker. For the scarves, I mostly chose smaller ones because if you're making like a full thick scarf, that can actually be quite a lot of work. Even though the shaping isn't as complicated, it is still a lot of knitting. So most of them are a little bit smaller. And the first one I would like to introduce you to is called The Simple Thing by Marina Brill. And this pretty much looks like a Sophie scarf. There are a few things about this that I think are better than the Sophie scarf pattern. The first one is that it is free. Also, it comes with a bunch of video tutorials as far as I understand, so even if you haven't been knitting for a long time and you still want to make something for somebody, I think this would be a good pattern to go to. It looks very beginner friendly, it's just garter stitch and I-cord, and if it comes with videos as well, I think you can definitely figure it out. And I think this would be a great gift even for somebody who doesn't have anything to do with knitting at all, because I saw that a lot of the bigger brands are now carrying these types of scarves in stores, like these triangular little scarves that you can tie around the front. So even people who don't really know about knitting or about the hype around the Sophie scarf are now starting to wear this. So I think this would be a cute gift to give to basically anyone, and it is very quick if you're an experienced knitter and a great project to go to still if you're not as experienced. This is another pattern I included because it's very beginner friendly. It's called the Shipyard Scarf by Cara McKinley, and it is created with only knitted and slipped stitches. So as long as you know how to do that, you should be able to make this scarf. And I think it still looks very interesting. I personally don't really like the long garter stitch scarf. I think that it looks like the most beginner project ever. So I really like that this is an option that is still very attainable to beginners without looking like the most classic beginner scarf ever. So this looks very much like a store-bought scarf to me, and I think if you're wanting to make something for a person, you can definitely do this as a beginner and still have something that looks very special. It is also a free pattern, which is nice, and it is knitted with an Aran weight wool, so you should also not take too long to make it. This is the Dewdrop Scarf by Lisa Hannes, and it is definitely more complicated than the previous two patterns, so it's not necessarily incredibly beginner friendly. It is a lace pattern still, but also the lace isn't incredibly complicated. It seems fairly regular, so you could kind of memorize how to do it and then just knit on this on the go without having to have your pattern open next to you at all times. It is knitted with a fingering weight yarn, so it will take a little bit longer, but also I don't think you can really go wrong with this. It is fairly basic without being incredibly boring basic, because it has this little eyelet pattern, so I think this is really cute to give to somebody that you know enjoys scarves, and then just pick a color that they like, and I think this will definitely get used. This scarf is called Wendover by Woolfolk Design Team, and it kind of keeps the same shape I've been showing over and over again, but while the first one was very simple and the last one was more like elegant and feminine leaning, this one is more like cool leaning, so it has the stripes and you can knit it with 2 balls of worsted weight yarn, which I think is also pretty cool. You can just buy 2 balls of yarn, use them all up, be done with it, or maybe you even have some laying around. And I think this is more of a modern looking scarf, and obviously it depends on the style of the person you're giving it to, but I feel like the last one would be great for a mom or a grandma, and this one would maybe be good for a friend or a sibling. This tiny scarf is probably more for style than it is for warmth. That is called the Scarf Number 3 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and it features this very pretty rib pattern. I think it looks simple yet interesting, and I believe you can really combine this with any outfit where you want a little bit of something around your neck. I like to wear scarves inside as well if I'm maybe sitting in a cold room, so if you know somebody who works in a colder office, for example, this would be a great gift. It is made with DK weight yarn, and if you make this and you have too much time left until the holidays, you can also make 2 for someone. I think it's a great item to have in multiple colors to match it to your outfit. I think this is very cute. We're moving towards socks, but not quite yet. These are the Rid leg warmers by Ellen Fedora. And what I really like about those is that they are so long, so you can wear them over your knee if you completely unfold them, or you can fold them down and then wear them under your knee as like normal leg warmers. And I think that's really cool. I also like that they seem to fit over the shoes, but they aren't so wide that they would fall down on your legs, so that's pretty cool. And they are knitted with an Aran weight yarn, which, great, that should be fairly quick. And obviously you can adjust the length as you want, you can add stripes if you want, and it is also a free pattern. The first proper pair of socks I would like to suggest is called Slow Morning DK by 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗙𝗡, and as the name says, it is a DK weight pattern, so it won't take too long, and these are just the most classic looking, cozy, chill at home socks. So you really can't go wrong with those. There's also only 3 sizes, and they have this rib stitch, so I think you can have some leeway with who this will actually fit. You can probably make this for somebody without knowing exactly their shoe size, so that's great. And apart from the pattern being completely free, there's also a full-length video tutorial on this, so if you're not the most experienced with socks yet, I think this would also be a great place to start. And then we have the Color Palette socks by Laura Moratz, and I think this pattern is great because it offers a lot of variety. It is for light fingering weight yarn, so you will definitely have to want to sit down and make a pair of socks. I think if you don't like making socks, maybe don't go for this one. But if you make a lot of socks, on the other hand, I think this would be great because it has these little colorful stripes. So I feel like most of the time when you make socks, you have a little bit of yarn left over, and I think this would be a great way to use up this little bit of yarn. But also, if you want to buy yarn for this specifically, you can just make all of the stripes the same color. So I think this is a great pattern, and it is also free. Moving on to some more Christmassy socks. This is the Christmas Ornament sock by 𝗙𝗏𝗡𝗏 Design. And I like that this is a Christmas sock technically, and if you know, you can see the Christmas design in it. But if you don't call it a Christmas sock, it doesn't have to be a Christmas sock, it could just be a cool design. I really like the vertical stripes on it, and if you're not making it in red, I don't think it will look very Christmassy at all. It is for fingering weight yarn, so a very classic sock still. And I also like that you have the option to either just buy this pattern or buy it in an ebook with I think 3 other sock patterns, so you should definitely check out if you like those. This is a whimsical Christmas sock set by Stone Knits, and I think this is the most like classic Christmas sock. So you get 2 patterns, one with gingerbread design and one with the little bird design, and I think both of these are really cute, but also both of these are very Christmassy, all over the place, colorful. And if you know you have somebody that enjoys wearing colorful socks, I think this would be a really, really cute gift to give some handmade Christmas socks. So while I would say this screams the most Christmas to me, it is also more of a commitment than most of the other patterns because it is fingering weight, so it's very small, and then you have to buy a bunch of colors of yarn, probably, unless you have a bunch of sock yarn at home. And then it will just take a while to knit up with all of the colorwork design. So know what you're getting yourself into, but I think if you know somebody who would enjoy this, this would be a great gift. The Christmas Shadow Night Socks by Crystal Williams are also a great pattern if you want to make a gift for somebody who enjoys colorful socks. I would say it's probably a little bit easier for you because there's only 2 colors and there's not quite as much color work. It's still fingering weight, it's still a sock, you know, it's still quite a bit of knitting. But I would also say, since it's not so in-your-face Christmas, these can be worn for the entire cold season. It's just a snowy landscape. So you could also wear these in February or in March if it's still cold enough. And you don't really have to be limited to just the Christmas season with these. And then for my last pair of socks, I have these. These are a bit goofy looking, but they are called Bananensocken by 𝗙𝗏𝗡𝗏. And what is great about them is that they will fit any foot size. So they are designed in a way where you don't work a heel really. You just have this ribbed pattern in the back, so they can like definitely stretch over your heel wherever in the sock that might be. And on the front side, they can kind of crunch together on the opposite side of your heel. So they will definitely fit anybody. And if you're trying to make somebody a pair of socks but you have no idea what size to make them, I think these would be a cool option. I think they are a bit goofier looking in the picture because they are worked in such a colorful yarn. I think if you just make them plain or maybe add some stripes, they won't look quite as weird, but they don't look weird when you're wearing them, and I think this is a really fun concept. In my home decor section, I have various items including 2 pillows. And I know that pillows are usually a bit more work than your average mitten or beanie, but I think if you know a person who doesn't really wear accessories like that, I think making them some kind of a throw pillow would be a good option. This is the stellarstudio.yt by Laura Penrose, which I chose because it has my name and also because it's a really cute design. I really like the star on it. I think it can look slightly Christmassy, but it doesn't have to at all. You can just have this on your couch year round. This is definitely a little bit of work. You have to pick up stitches quite a lot, and you also have to buy a pillow insert. But depending on the color palette you choose, you could maybe make this a scrap project. I think it looks very fun, and I don't really know anybody who wouldn't like this. Come on, this is so fun. This is called the Bobble Sheet Pillow by Pal Soho, and it is a free pattern and also knitted with a super bulky yarn. So this shouldn't take incredibly long, and it is so adorable. You do definitely need to know the type of person who would put a sheet pillow somewhere. I think this might also be great for a child if you are trying to make something for a child. But I just think it's so adorable. It looks so fluffy and I just want to like hug it. I think it's so cute. I don't even know if there's a pillow insert in it. It doesn't really say, or if you just put like scraps in it or something. But regardless, it's adorable. I want a sheet pillow. And then lastly, if you know somebody who likes seasonal decorating, this is the Pine Tree Throw Pillow by Emily Natai. It is knitted with a bulky weight yarn, and it includes instructions to work it either in the round or flat, which is cool because obviously you would want to work it in the round. I think most people would. And it is also a free pattern. For this you have multiple options. You could definitely make this a pillow, just make it very soft, and it would be incredibly cuddly and cute. If you know nobody who would like a chicken-shaped pillow, which reasonable, I saw this and I was immediately reminded of a door stopper that my mom has that looks like a sheep. And I think if you put something heavy in this, it would make a great door stopper and not, you know, sit on your couch. So if you want a purpose for Poppy the chicken, which I definitely want because I saw this and I was like, this is cool. I want a chicken. Don't know what for. I have no use for a chicken, but I want a chicken. So if you also want a chicken or you want to gift a chicken to somebody, you should also make this one by Jessica Reeves Portas. It is knitted with a super bulky yarn and adorable, obviously, also a free pattern. So if you know somebody with chickens, this would be fun. I know people with chickens. Not people I usually make Christmas gifts to, but maybe I should. I also added 2 bookmarks here because I think bookmarks are very cozy gifts, but they don't take you much time at all. And I think they are great to gift with a book, obviously, but also just with a cup or a candle, just something small and cozy. So this is the lace bookmark number 1 by Rebecca Sand. She uses a thread, I assume a crochet thread, to make this. So I think most people have something at home to make this with. I think even if you use a different yarn, it'll just turn out a little bit bigger, but this seems quite small, so I don't think it would really matter if you used a fingering weight yarn. It's also free and very adorable design. And if you want something even more adorable, I found this library mouse by Drops Design. This would be great for adults and children as well. And I think this might be a little bit more work because you have to stuff the head and then you have to probably embroider on the details, but probably very much worth it. Very cute. It also says there's a video tutorial, so you should look out for that if you're making it. And it is also a free pattern. I included a few ornaments as well, and this might be my favorite. It's called Twinkle and Shine Lights by 𝗙𝗚𝗡𝗏𝗏, and it looks like fairy lights. It's so cute. It is knitted with a worsted weight wool, and obviously you need quite a bunch of colors, so this would probably make a good scrap yarn project if you have colorful scrap yarn at home. I definitely have a bunch of acrylic scrap yarn laying around, which I think would also be good to use for this because you don't need to wear it, so you can use whatever fiber really. And I don't know, I feel like this is definitely Christmassy, but I also wouldn't mind having this up at other times of year. And then I have 5 individual ornaments that, I don't know, you can either make one and just give it to somebody as special something to hang on their Christmas tree, or you can make multiples as a set in different colors. So there's lots of options here. The first one is called Christmas Woods by Drops Design, and what I enjoy about this is that they included different designs to put on the little Christmas trees, so you can actually make it as a set. I think in this case they attached them all to each other, which personally I probably wouldn't do. I would just include a little hanger on each of them so you can put them across different spots in your house or on your tree. And I think this looks very, very adorable and like a very quick project to mix well. If you don't have the time to make full-size mittens, I would recommend these very tiny ones by Jared Flood. And they also have some tiny, tiny socks to go with them by Julie Williams. These are tiny Christmas stockings, but you can just use them as tiny socks if you don't do Christmas stockings where you're from. I don't do Christmas stockings, I don't know. This is also a free pattern and also includes a bunch of different designs. Julie Williams also has these tiny little donuts, which are not explicitly a Christmas ornament, but you could very easily make it one by just attaching a string to it. And I think last year I saw Rebecca from 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗙𝗃 make these and make them in like a peppermint pattern. So she was alternating white and red stripes for the donut, and it looked so adorable. So I was immediately reminded of that when I saw those, and I think that would be a great idea for a Christmas ornament. And then lastly, this pattern is called 𝗙𝗛𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗦 by 𝗙𝗛𝗡. I think these look very classic. You can make them in a white, you can make them in a blue, you can hang them on your tree, you can hang them over a window. I think would also be really fun. And it is also a free pattern. That was all of the gift knitting patterns I had for today. I have linked all of them down below in the description if you're looking for a specific one. Please consider giving this video a like if you could draw some inspiration, and if you have any more ideas for gift knitting patterns that you already made and the person liked them a lot, or that you're planning to make this year, you can let me and everybody know in the comments, and I will see you next time.